baby, look.
So,
I done been in there myself. My son done spent almost 30 years of his 50 something in jail.
Wow.
so we may between these two, you may pick one that
Okay.
pick which set
Which
that you
makes
like
more
better.
sense.
So we're going to start this one.
The mic is still on, right?
And the only reason I had this on is because I wanted to put some of the information from Planning Justice.
Mhm.
Planning Justice, they deal with incarcerated people. They hire them directly from San Quentin. They have a gardening
Yeah,
program.
we work
Oh,
with them.
Nicole works
Yeah,
there.
Okay.
we go to planting justice.
All right.
So we're
Okay.
partners.
Okay.
But you're welcome to include that in your interview. Okay.
I'll ask you to take your glasses off again.
Oh.
If that's okay.
Yes, that's
Okay.
fine.
Phones off.
Everybody's
Great.
phone is off?
Right.
Alright, let me
Okay.
make sure we're good. Okay. So we're recording?
Okay.
Once they stop shuffling around, I think.
Okay.
She's trying to find her cell phone because it keeps dialing me.
Okay. So if you all, if we can just try to be as quiet as possible, just to make sure that the sound, we just want to be hearing Paula. Okay. Should I start from the top?
Yeah, go ahead and start from top.
Okay.
It doesn't have to say her name.
You don't
again.
have to say your name again.
And
That's
actually, the programs, I would actually get into that, maybe.
Okay.
The
we
most
just wanna,
important
we just
one.
want to like
The name of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
can you let us know the name of the mental health program that you worked in and where it is?
Yes. The first one that I worked with was Prieto Common Touch out of Berkeley, California. And that deals with women that are incarcerated, and we would help them from beginning to end. Usually they would have problems, situations that they didn't have any knowledge of what to do or who to ask for. So we were just there as support and backup. Maybe they need assistance with attorneys or whatever. We were there just to support women. And a lot of them had mental health issues. I think if you've ever been to jail, you have a mental health issue because you're traumatized.
And about in terms of percentage, what are the percentages of the clients that you saw who were cycling in and out of incarceration?
Most of the time, a lot of them, over half. And we would see repeat offenders. And it's because everything is connected. When you're in jail and then you get out, you have to think about housing, where you're going to live at, who's going to support you, food, employment, and most of the people aren't going to be hiring you if you've been incarcerated. And that's just a fact. Doesn't matter whether it's jail or prison, it's the fact that you've been incarcerated. It's like it's a red spot on your forehead to let people know that you've been incarcerated.
In your experience, what have you seen are the biggest contributing factors to your clients with mental illness and being incarcerated? So, what are the things that led them to being incarcerated?
It's
And
usually
if you could answer
money.
it in a complete sentence.
It's usually money that affects everyone. You can't get a job, and if you can't get a job, you don't have the money to provide for your family. You have to have a place to stay, housing, a big issue. And here in Oakland, there's displacement, there's evictions. If you have an eviction on your record and you've been incarcerated and you don't have a job, you're in big trouble. You have to have some place to stay so that you can stabilize. But when you're incarcerated, you have to be sure that your mental health issues are taken care of. A lot of people never address that issue. And it has to be addressed because if you're incarcerated, you're traumatized. When you get out, you are traumatized and you need support. You need wraparound services, which is one thing that most people don't get in this county because the services are disconnected and few and far between. So you need family support, you need housing support, you need a job. The economic security here is skyrocketing. So you already have an issue against you just by being incarcerated. And if you're in the eviction phase, you have another issue. That eviction stays on your record for 10 years. So that means you won't have housing because nobody's going to rent to you. You have to go underground. And then with that, the job. Who's going to give you a job when you've been incarcerated? You need health issues all along the way. Whatever the situation is, you need to be connected with mental health so that you can at least try to deal with what you're doing. But if you don't have that mental health support, then you have no support.
Where do you think mental health care is most suitable?
Definitely not at the jail.
Could you say that? Can you say mental health care is not?
Mental health care is not supposed to be on the same premises as a jail because you still feel like you're in jail. They're saying it's a separate entity. It's not a separate entity. If you're on the premises of a jail, say for instance Santa Rita, like they're trying to put a detention there right now, that's not good enough. It needs to be as far away from Santa Rita as it can get because they're already in jail. And if you're going to just say, oh, I'm going to put them over here next door to this detention facility that's for mental health. No, they're still in jail. You're on the same premises. And in their mind, they're in Santa Rita. So, no, it needs to be completely away from Santa Rita. And it doesn't, you don't want to feel like you're in jail. You want to feel like I'm going to a program, an alternative program, to deal with my mental health. If it's at Santa Rita, you're not going to feel like that, and no one's going to feel like that. So I would say wraparound services as far away from that place as it could be. In fact, I don't even want it to be a jail or prisons. There should be no jail or prisons anywhere. People should have alternative places to go that are of human nature so that they can get back to being human. Because once you're in there, it takes all of that softness, the kindness, the heart feeling. It takes all of that stuff away, and it takes time to get it back.
Hold on, we gotta fix the mic again. Okay. It's rubbing.
That was really powerful.
Maybe,
Higher?
It's only when it rubs against her skirt.
okay.
Probably because I was moving. I get
No, it's
It
hard
just-
to not
it just-
control.
Yeah.
upsets me so
Yeah.
because all of the places are thinking a mental health detention facility, but it's still going to feel like a jail.
I also do have to ask you to try not to
Move so much.
Well, back and forth is the issue.
Okay.
You don't have to be like, but like this, it comes in and out of focus.
Okay.
But that was a really good response.
Sorry, you've answered all of the questions, so I'm without having me have to ask them to you. So I'm trying to think of if there are any other questions that we would like to ask.
Well, I could also add that with Prieto Common Touch, we did get out the jail vote. And I can't remember which year it was, but um, it was myself and Tommy, a Latino lady from Berkeley, and Ruby, a white lady from Oregon. And they gave us get out the jail vote that year. Actually, the people that were incarcerated outvoted the people that were outside. And I thought that was just awesome.
That's awesome. You mentioned earlier that jails and prisons actually create mental illness.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, if you know, I don't know the exact facts right now, but because they're in jail, you have to think the jails and the prisons are so overpopulated. They're sleeping everywhere in the cafeterias and auditoriums. So if you're in a mass place like that with a lot of people, not very much room, not much air, it's unhealthy for one thing. And as you know, the Santa Rita jail had, no, that was San Quentin. They had a problem with their water system last year. So if that water is contaminated and you have these people sleeping everywhere besides the jails, and they had to bring in water, they had to turn the water off. So how many thousands of people are in San Quentin with no water? That's a health issue. Not only that, a lot of people aren't getting medical. They're not seeing a doctor. So if you're not seeing the doctor, what do you have to put? $5 down. You're in prison, and you're telling me I have to put $5 down before I see the doctor. A lot of people don't have $5 on their books. So if you don't have $5 on your books, you're not seeing the doctor. Whatever the issue is, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Then that means a lot of those people are dying from lack of seeing a doctor, from overcrowding. It's just, you're traumatized, you're in shock, all of the above. So that's why I say there shouldn't be any prisons. There shouldn't be any jails, period. We should have alternative places to put them. And it shouldn't be a place that's similar to a jail or a prison. It should be someplace that's comforting, that's easy, that's getting you back to being human, so that you can just not be putting people in places and using them like they're herds of cattle. It's unhuman. And all they do is completely desensitize you and get you to the fact that you're not human, but you are human. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your culture. You're a human being, and that's what counts. And that's what all of our people need to understand. All of the people that are over, the sheriffs and all of that, they need to be re-educated on this whole system. It needs to be changed. It's got to be changed. And we have to stand up and fight. If that's another whole revolution, it needs to be a revolution, because people aren't not being treated like they're human.
Thank you. I have one last question. You've talked a lot about how incarceration impacts the individual, and we're learning more and more from the people that we meet that it's impacting more than just individuals but entire communities.
Yes.
So when one person gets locked up, their whole family and their communities are impacted by the incarceration. Can you talk more about what you've witnessed and what you've experienced in terms of your work and the people that you've met who've been incarcerated in your community?
It does. It affects everyone in the community. It starts out with the family. It spreads to the friends, the relatives, the associates. So that impacts the whole community. And just having a son or a daughter, a relative, you can go just about anywhere to any of the cultures. Oakland is extremely diverse. And we need to keep that intact. It needs to be preserved. And I think this is the one place that has such an expanse diversity of culture, and people talk about it all of the time. But if we don't do something about this incarceration piece, because it's affecting the whole community, we have to do something. And that's why I said I believe it's going to be a whole another revolution, because we need no jails. We need no prisons. And I would say don't even say detentions, because that's going to make them feel like they're still in jail. They need to be brought back to being human. And that's not the answer.
If you had $7 million to invest in Alameda County, what would you spend it on? And can you say, if I had seven?
If I had $7 million, I would close Santa Rita Jail forever. I would make it into a gardening spot, an educational spot, a recreational center, anything but a jail. And I wouldn't put up any more jails in Alameda County. I would work to make sure that each and every jail is closed forever. It would never be open again, ever. And I would work on getting places that educate them, that give them an economic choice of a job, a well-paying job, so that they could just live. People are supposed to be on this earth to live and be happy. I don't think anyone in Alameda County right now is happy, because this affects everyone. That $7 million can go a long, long way in closing Santa Rita Jail and getting people the help that they need. But that jail would never be open again, ever. And it wouldn't be called Santa Rita. It would be renamed, reclassified. Everything would be changed. There wouldn't be the jail, the cells and stuff. Everything would be changed so that people will never know that it was Santa Rita Jail. I would wipe it off the earth.
Thank you so much. Did you have any other comments?
I think that's it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Absolutely.